Good morning, everyone. In the last class, we discussed with the Spring MVC module here. So basically, how exactly this particular Spring MVC module is going to work. So we identified the diagrammatic here. Now, again, we need to understand how exactly this particular application is going to work. So now you can see. So this is the request we are going to give from the browser here. Right. So from this particular request, what happens internally? We are going to have one of our main controller class. So what is our main controller class here? Dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet. So with the help of this particular dispatcher servlet, what is doing internally? He is checking with the handler mapping here. So why is checking with the handler mapping here? So he is working with the handler mapping. With the help of this particular handler mapping, what happens internally? So it is going to communicate with our controller class. So it is going to communicate with our controller class. And from the controller class, now what we are doing here, we are trying to return model and view object here. Model and view. Getting the point. With the help of this particular model and view, what we are doing here, we are trying to connect it with our view resolvers. View resolvers. So once the view resolvers are completed, now what I will do, I will connect it with our view pages here. So that is nothing but, in our example, we are connecting with our home.jsp. So carefully observe here how we are trying to working with the Spring MVC model. So this is very important here. From the UI page, we are giving a request here. So this is nothing but UI page. So any UI page, right? So we receive the request. Once the receive is request, what is our first controller? Dispatcher servlet is our first controller. What exactly it is doing internally? What exactly it is doing? So first is going to identify the request here. So what exactly the information is contained? The request to having the what information is contained. With the help of this particular information, what is doing internally, which is checking with the handler mapping here. So which is checking with the handler mapping. So what are the handler mapping we are having? So the handler mapping here, the first one, B name handler mapping. Getting the point. Simple URL handler mapping. Simple URL handler mapping. And third one, default annotation handler mapping. Default annotation handler mapping. Getting the point. So we identified how exactly the each handler mapping is working in the previous example. So now back to this particular example. So dispatcher servlet will handle the information which is coming from the browser. So once information is identified by the dispatcher servlet, now what we are doing is we are trying to connect with the handler mapping here. So why we need to connect with the handler mapping? Because with the help of the handler mapping here, now we are going to connect it with the controller classes. So sometimes we are going to create these classes as a resource classes. Okay, but in the real-time application, so some of the organizations they are connecting with the controller classes. Some of the organizations they are making the classes as a resource. But resource classes and controller classes they used to work with the same purpose here. Getting the point. Now back to here. With the help of this particular handler mapping, what we are doing is we are connecting with the controller classes. We are connecting with the controller classes. Right. So what exactly the controller classes will do? Which is going to connect with our service classes. From the service classes, we are going to connect with our databases. So from the database, we are going to insert the data, or we are going to update, or we are going to delete, or we are going to load the data. Getting the point. So from the controller, we are going to perform the code operations here. Code operation, because we already discussed when we are trying to communicating with Spring JDBC or Spring Hibernate here. Okay, only the part we need to discuss here from the controller part. So how we can handle whenever we are trying to receive the request from the browser. So the browser data we need to handle to the controller class. So this we need to understand very carefully here. Getting the point. So observe here with the help of this particular handler mapping. Now what we are doing is we are connecting with the controller classes. So what exactly the controller class is doing? With the help of this particular request information, the controller is going to perform the code operation here. Okay. Once we identify the once it's performed the code operation, so it's going to return the object as a model entity. So the controller which is going to return the object as a model entity. So why this particular controller class is going to return model entity? Because the view content, so what is the view we need to display is there inside the browser, we are going to return the appropriate view page here. Cutting the point. So what kind of the view page we want to display here, we'll try to return the same view page here. Okay. So whatever this particular model will contain what is the information we want to display inside this particular view page. So carefully observe here. So this is indicating here what kind of the view page we want to display inside the browser and what is the data we want to display. What is the data we want to display inside this particular view page? So the data we are going to construct as a model object here. So this is very important here. The data we are going to construct as a model object, and what is the view page we want to display inside the browser, we are going to provide the particular view page name here. So that the data is going to display inside this particular view page, and this view page is going to display on the browser. So this is indicating model entity. And with the help of this particular dispatcher servlet, now what we are doing is, again, we are going to connecting with the view resolver. We are going to connecting with the view resolver. So why we need to connect with the view resolver? So basically, what exactly we are going to do this particular view resolver? Basically, inside this particular view, we'll specify the logical view name. We'll specify the logical view name. Now, with the help of this particular logical view name, so we are going to understand here where exactly the actual views are existed using this particular view resolver. So we identified internal resource view resolver one implementation class. So what exactly the class will contain the information we identified in the previous class. Cutting the point. So now you can understand here with the help of this particular view resolver. Now dispatcher solver is going to connect with the particular actual view where exactly this particular views existed. Cutting the point. And we'll try to return the whatever the information the data will contain. Sorry, the view page is contained. The same data we are going to return back to the dispatcher servlet. So from the dispatcher servlet, now we are going to return as a response to the browser here. So these are about the flow of execution of this particular Spring MVC. Okay, let me go back to the previous example what we identified here. So now what I want to do, I want to start the server to work with this particular example. Basically, whenever we are trying to work with the Spring MVC application, what we need to do, we need to run our application using the server here. So I'm trying to work with the Tomcat server here. So if you are interested to download the Tomcat server, what we need to do? So go to the browser and type the Apache Tomcat download. So you can connect it with the 9.0 version. Apache Tomcat 9 download. So now you can see, so this is our version, and one more version is received Tomcat 10 years, but now we can go to the Tomcat 9 because we are trying to work with 3.2 version. So we can work with only Tomcat 9 version. Here we can go to this particular Windows Service Installer. So 32-bit or 64-bit, which is going to support here. Okay, using this we can download the Tomcat server, and we can work on the particular Tomcat server here. So back to here, now you can see, so this is the previous example we identified here. To work with this particular previous example, what are the important things we identified? So first we need to understand here, inside the web.xml, we provided dispatcher subject information. Getting the point. So this is the dispatcher subject information we provided, because so this is our front controller, or you can call it as a, this is our, so it's going to stop the request at first time here, and from this particular dispatcher server, what we are doing is we are trying to connect him with the handler mapping. So what is the handler mapping we are working? So we are working with annotation related handler mapping. So what is the handler mapping we are working here? So default annotation handler mapping, because we are trying to work with request mapping annotation. Request mapping annotation we are working here. Right. Now, with the help of this particular request mapping, what we can do? So we are going to call this particular get homepage method, and we are trying to return the logical view name. So what is our logical view name? Home here. Logical view name home here. Now what happens internally? So after connecting with the handler mapping, here, now we are trying to return model and view object here. With the help of this particular model and view, now it's going to connect with our view resolver. So to connect with the view resolver, now what we are doing is, so here we define the view resolver information. So what is the view resolver information we provided? Something called internal resource view resolver. Internal resource view resolver. So this particular view resolver, what exactly which is doing internally? Now you can see which is having two information here. So first one called prefix, and second property we are having suffix. So the prefix, what exactly which is doing it? So which is going to provide the where this particular views are existed. Where this particular views are existed, it will provide the information here. The path of the view page here. Now we can see inside this particular view, we are having home.jsp, but the path we need to understand very carefully. So now you can see web-nm. Under the web-nm, we are having the folder called views, and inside the views, we are going to have home.jsp. And here, suffix here. So suffix is going to work with the extension of the particular page here. So what is the extension we are having? We are having .jsp. So whenever this particular path and the extension is going to match here, the particular file is going to loaded by this particular internal resource view resolver. Internal resource is going to loaded the appropriate the particular file here. And once this particular file is loaded here, now what we are doing is the file is going to return back to the dispatcher subject here. So the file is going to send back to the dispatcher subject. Again, with the help of this particular dispatcher subject here, the file is going to display in the browser here. So that is, we are trying to display in as a welcome to Spring MVC. So where we define the message, now we can see inside this particular H1 tag we implemented as a welcome to Spring MVC. Okay. Now, so we want to understand one more important thing here. So resolving the tiles view. Basically, along with this particular internal resource view resolver, Spring MVC, which is going to support the tiles. So the tiles view which is provided by the Apache. Getting the point. Now to work with this particular tiles view, now what we need to do? Basically, we need to work with the tiles view resolver. So let me provide the whether tiles view resolver we are having or not. So same way, like how we identified internal resource view resolver, same way we are going to work with the tiles view resolver. So now you can see here we are having tiles view resolver. So this is the class, but here we are having the different packages. We need to focus on the tiles 3 packages here. Tiles 3 packages we need to focus here. Now we need to open this particular class. So what exactly which is having? Internally we are having one class called render. Now you can see one more like which is extending from the URL based view resolver. So this we already identified in the previous example, and it is having prefix and suffix information. Basically, this is the main class. So this is the one of the implementation of view resolver, and using this particular class, all the classes are going to extending here. The first class we already identified here. We identified here so tiles view resolver, and in the previous example we identified internal resource view resolver also is extending from the same class URL based view resolver. Okay, now we understood this particular tiles view resolver, but internally which is expecting renderer class. So what it will contain this particular renderer here. Now we need to understand here. Okay, renderer we don't have. If I'm going to click F3, which is not coming. So this is the different packages here which is provided. But now we can see the renderer having Apache tiles. Apache tiles. So as of now, we don't have a package here, the Apache tiles. Okay. So now what we need to do? And here we are having one more tiles view. So what exactly which is finding here? Based on this particular view name, is going to check with the tiles view object we are going to get. With the help of this particular renderer, we are going to set the set render, and we are trying to return the tiles view render here. Tiles view object we are trying to return here. So only three information we are having inside this particular tiles view resolver. Now we are going to work with this particular tiles view resolver. Let me create this particular tiles view resolver class. After creating this particular tiles view resolver, now what I am going to do? Here, bean class. So we need to provide the bean class here. So which tiles view, like we are going to work with the tiles view resolver class. I know package is important, which is available inside this particular package called Spring Framework Web dot Servlet dot U dot tiles 3 dot tiles view resolver. So this is the tiles view resolver configuration. But after configuring this particular tiles view resolver, now what we need to do? So we need to provide basically we are having the property. We identified here we are having the property called renderer, but we are expecting so definition. So let me check with inside the view. No, we don't have. Okay. Let me go for this particular property. Basically, we need to specify the property here, definition here. So definition is nothing but we are going to provide how this particular the tiles view configuration file which is going to identified here. Now let me create those particular tiles view configuration file. So first we need to provide the property name. So inside this particular property, now what I want to do, I want to make list here. Inside this particular list, I want to make value. So this particular value, which is going to provide the information, something called where this particular tiles configuration file will contain. So here we need to specify the path here. Now I want to provide the same path here. Inside this particular views folder, I want to provide the filesview.xml. Getting the point. Here we need to provide this particular tilesview.xml, where we need to specify inside the folder called views. Let me go for the XML extension. And specify this particular tilesview.xml file and finish. Now what I am going to do, because we created this particular tilesview configuration file, tilesview configuration file. So what exactly this particular tilesview configuration file contains here? Here basically we are going to provide the tiles correlated configuration. Now what I want to provide here, the tiles configuration will contain like this here. The tiles configuration will contain okay. Let me take another one. Here, so this is the tiles configuration, and so which will contain, this is our header section, and this is our footer section, and this is our side section. Getting the point. If we want to provide any another side, so these are the common sections we are going to create inside this particular tiles configuration. But here the body, whatever the body we are having, so this particular body which is going to change here. So this section we are going to call as a header section, and so this is the side section. So this is also one more side section, and this is footer section, and this is the body. So this particular body is going to change every time. But now if you understand carefully, the header section will not change, and the footer section will not change, and side by side, based on our requirement, we can work with this particular side here. Based on this particular requirement, we can make this particular side. So this particular information, we are going to create, getting the point, we are going to create as a tiles configuration template here. But now we need to understand very carefully how this particular tiles configuration template is going to work. Let me create this particular configuration. The particular template. So whatever the template we created as of now, this particular template we are going to create as a XML configuration file. Right. Now here we need to create this particular configuration file. So what I want to do, I want to copy one DTD file. So how we are going to copy this particular DTD file? Observe here. So this is the DTD file we are going to work here. Let me save here. Okay. So this is all about the tiles configuration DTT file. So which is going to validate the tiles configuration content. The tiles configuration how we are going to work here. Okay. Now we can see here what I want to do. So with the help of this particular DTD, what we are getting here, tiles definition. Here inside this particular tiles definition, now we need to understand here one more tag we are going to get as a definition here. And here we need to specify the name here. So we need to specify the name, something called template here. I want to specify the name of this particular definition, template. And so what exactly this particular template is contained. Carrying the point. So where exactly this particular template will contain, we need to specify. So inside this particular, again, I want to provide web NF. Inside this particular web NF, sorry. So view name, views folder, I want to work with the main underscore template. Main underscore template dot JSP. So this is our template here. And which is going to provide the layout here. It's going to provide the common layout here. Getting the point. Now, after defining this particular definition here, we want to provide the layout properties here. So how we are going to provide this particular, basically this is our main template, and inside this particular main template we are going to provide the content information. How its content is nothing but how we are going to define the header and the footer, the side sections here. So to define this, now what I want to do, let me provide put attribute here. So this particular put attribute is going to provide the each section of the particular template here. Now I want to make top here. I want to make top here. Here I want to provide the value. So top value, which is nothing but inside this particular web folder, I want to create one JSP file called header section. Header.jsp. Getting the point. Header.jsp I want to provide as a top here. And second one I want to take footer. So footer.jsp. Something. Okay. So these are the two are enough. Now we can see how we are trying to define here. So this particular, these two sections, header and footer, will define inside this particular main template. Along with this particular header and footer, we are going to change the body here. Based on our requirement, the body is going to change here. Getting the point. So after creating this particular tiles definition file, now what we are going to do? What we are going to do? We need to create our extend file here. So now this is our main template here. I want to create one more definition here. I want to create one more definition. So this particular definition will contain one more file. So let me provide this particular name of the definition. So for our understanding, I want to make home. And so which is going to extend from this particular template. So basically what I am trying to do here, this is our common template. This is our common template. But now, so this is a dynamic template. Now what we are doing is, so this is our home definition. I'm trying to extending from this particular template. So here we provided the definition name as a template here. What we are doing here, once we extend this particular template, inside this particular home, we are going to have this particular template information. And after this, now what I am doing here, I'm trying to provide with the put attribute here. I'm going to add content here. Here I want to work with the home here. Observe carefully how we are creating this. So this is a common template we created. With the help of this particular common template, we created one more definition here. And here we are trying to work with the home.jsp. So whenever we are trying to return this particular home.jsp, what happens internally, which is going to extend this particular template, and we are going to return this particular header section and footer section with this particular home.jsp. Okay, now we need to understand here how this particular home.jsp will contain here. So we already identified here the home.jsp, how it's going to work. Now what we need to do here? Here we need to create first one called home header.jsp, because home already we created here. Simply I want to provide header section. Footer.jsp. The footer.jsp I want to provide so this is all about this particular footer.jsp. Getting the point. Now after creating this particular footer.jsp, now what I am going to do, I want to provide the main template class. So we need to work with this particular main template class. So how exactly this particular main template class is going to work here? Let me create one more template here. So what is the one more template we need to create here? So one more template, this is called main template here. So this is very important here, the main template here. Basically, inside this particular main template, we are going to work with all the information here. Right. And now, here, what I want to do, I want to work with this particular tag lib here. Here we need to work with tag lib here, because now we are working with styles related information. So we need to work with the styles related tab lib here. So how exactly the particular tab lib is going to work here? To work with this particular tab lib, now what I want to do, so let me enable this particular percentile and at the rate we need to provide the tag lib. Here we need to specify the URI. This URI is going to provide the tiles related tag. Tiles related tag is going to provide. So now http://tiles.apache.org and slash we need to work with the tags. We need to work with the tags-tiles. And I want to work with the prefix something called tiles here. Right. So this is indicating this particular tiles related tag lib. Now you can see we are having an error here. So what is the error we are getting? So cannot find this particular tag library. Why we are not finding this particular tag library? So to work with this particular tag library, so here we need to add some of the tiles related jobs. Tiles related jobs we need to add here. So what are the tiles related jobs we need to add? This is the Apache related tiles docs. You can see org Apache tiles. Free version we are trying to work with this particular jar here, which is going to provide the tiles related the core libraries here. Which is going to provide the tiles related core libraries here. Now what we need to do? Along with this, we need to work with one more. Let me stop the server. Along with this, we need to add one more. Here, tiles-JSP. So this section is going to provide the tag lib information. This section is going to provide the core tiles libraries here. Let me save this. Once it is downloaded, now what we can do? So we need to focus on the main template file here. So what exactly the main template file will contain here? Observe, we can go for this particular main template. Previously, we are getting an error here, but now the error is resolved. So back to here. Now what I am doing here, and this is our main template file. So here we need to include all the JSP files here. All the JSP files we need to include here. So carefully observe here how I am trying to include here. I am trying to define one div here. So inside this particular div, now what exactly I am trying to do here. So let's see tiles related here. So tiles related, we are having these are the libraries we are going to get it from this particular location. This particular location we are trying to load the tiles related information. Okay, now so what is the attribute we need to use? So we need to use this particular insert attribute. So why we need to use this particular insert attribute here? Basically, we want to insert all the JSP file into this particular main template. Getting the point? The insert attribute name here. First one, we need to work with the header. Getting the point? So here I want to work with the second one, footer. Here we need to specify the another one. Here I want to add name is equals to home. Name is equals to home. So where we are trying to add this particular header and footer here. So now you can see inside this particular text, okay, we are making as a top and a footer. So let me change here header. So footer, header and home. Getting the point. So here we need to work with these are the information inside this particular main template. Right. So now what we can do, let me go to the Spring configuration file. Okay, we provided and we commented this particular internal resource view resolver. I'm trying to save here all the information here. Go back to your main template. Let me save here, format and save. Okay, insert attribute, header, home and footer. So what we are expecting here, whenever we are trying to load this particular form, we are going to load along with the header and footer here. Right. Let me start this particular server. Finish. We are giving a okay. So which is expecting SLF4J here, but we don't have a SLF4J here. Now what we need to do? We need to add this particular SLF4J here. Let me add this particular SLF4J. No such method for SLF4J location. Here, first we need to add one job, which is going to extending with child related, I think. So now you can see Apache SLF4J debug and review. Okay, so anyway, first what we need to do, we need to add the SLF4J configuration here. Go back to here, inside this particular Spring 4, whether we added or not, we need to check here. Spring JDBC, Postgres -9. Here, these two are the important we need to add. These two are important we need to add inside this particular Spring MVC project. Now, I want to run one more time. So we need to see one more exception we are getting. Oh, still it is not resolved, which is expecting not. Okay. Location aware logger. Basically, so this is also one of the jar information only. But I thought the SLF4J we did not add it, but still we are getting a log here. Okay. So what we can do, we'll take help from the Google here. Now, no such a method, which is also related to same. Okay. So same thing we are getting this error. What is the resolution of this particular error here? Display, we added and everything here. I had the same problem when writing this Java 7 commit. Exclusion, which is expected. Okay. So for the public when it opens up the okay. Hmm, no such method. Okay, maybe here it is a version conflict here. We are having logs already. So why it is not loading? Let me try with one more time because the method is already available. I thought the method is not available. Let me try with Maven clean. So we'll see any dependents we are having any conflict here. Okay, the build successful here. Refresh the application one time. So let me start one more time. So we need to see, basically it is a version related conflict here we are getting. Now, okay, still we are getting the same or not? Okay, we are getting the same here. Okay, what we can do, no such method error. Why the method is not forming at runtime? Okay. Okay. So, what is the error there? Okay, let me handle this exception here. So we need to figure it out, like where this particular error is coming. Let me run the application as a debug. So here I am trying to handle the particular exception here. So no such method exception here. Okay. Let's see. Here we can see no such method error we are getting. So here we are getting a singleton error. So this is the different one. Initializing. Okay, so here we are getting what is the logger object. Location. Hmm. So let me check with any another version we are having or not regarding this particular SLF4J. Maven repository. October 19, October 1. So we'll try with the different version here. Okay. So still we are getting an error, but same error or not, we need to understand. Hmm, okay. Get singleton. Logger binder. What happened here? 152. Okay. So what is the version we specified here? Still it is taking the previous version. So SLF4J, which is accepting here. Okay. So build success. Basically, even if I like we given 1.7 version here, but still the loading 1.5 version here. So because of that, I'm trying to rebuild one more time. So we'll see at this time what will happen here. So it's refreshing the resource here. So run as server. So now we are getting the dispatches update. Now, where anywhere we are finding the SLF port here. Okay, upgrade your binding 1.x. So I need to do some more R&D because so here we are giving an like warning is your binding is version 1.5.5 or earlier. So why still it is taking the previous one? Even if I'm trying to give 7 version, because of this we are not getting this particular method called get singleton. Okay. So I want to find out here. Okay, we are not getting. Let me take the help from the Google. Why? So this is giving an error. So what exactly we are getting here? I had exclude this information about the So now go to the my one. Okay. So which is taking 1.2. Okay. Inside the Hibernate core we are having. So let me delete that one. Spin context. Spin JDBC. Okay. I want to delete these two. Okay. So first I want to exclude from the Hibernate core and okay, another one 1.2 still it is available. So first we'll see explore from the Hibernate core. I want to give group ID and artifact ID. Select Okay, let me try here. Okay. So we need to check one more time the dependency. 1.2 SLF. So this is the way we need to figure it out. So where we are getting a conflict on this particular version. Now, so I'm thinking like, so this time it's going to work. Go to the project explorer. So let's refresh one time. Okay. Start our application. Basically, we don't want to get any the SLF4J exception. Okay, let's see what is the error we are getting. So invalid property definitions. Okay, so this is the difference, right? So basically, we identified the previously different exception. Now we got the different exception. So it's nothing but we are able to resolve the SLF4J error. So we'll try to figure it out this particular error. Now we define this particular definition in our TilesView configuration file. So tomorrow we'll try to check with why we are getting this particular invalid property. Okay. So once it is completed, if you are not getting any error, we can check with how exactly the TilesView resolver is going to work. So to work with the view resolver, now what are the steps we need to follow? Okay. So tomorrow most probably we are going to complete the tiles related example. So once we complete the TilesView related example, we'll check with the login page and registration page here. And later we are going to validate the particular page's information here. Okay. So if anyone having any question, we'll continue tomorrow. So you can ask me your queries on tomorrow because we did not complete the today example here.